Hi, we're Natalie and Amelia, and this is our Geohazard Project.
First, we will start with an overview of plate tectonics. Plate tectonics are chunks of earthy material that divide Earth's crust and reshape landscapes over time. Description of the 5 types of plate boundaries.
Divergent is when two plates move away from each other. Transform is when plates slide sideways past each other. Oceanic convergent is when two plates of oceanic lithosphere crash into each other, causing one to subduct under the other. Oceanic continental convergent is the collision of two plates from the oceanic and continental lithosphere. Continental convergent is when two plates from the continental lithosphere crash into each other.
Here's a map of the plate boundaries and the direction in which they move. Now we will talk about geohazards. First are mass wasting events. Mass wasting events are the motion of rock and soil down a slope under the control of gravity. The cause for this geohazard is usually an earthquake or other extreme events that trigger a landslide. Some examples of this would be the landslide that happened in Malaysia on December 16, 2022, and the landslide that happened in Italy on November 26, 2022. The general cost of repair after a mass wasting event is $472,000 per contract. Ways to prevent loss of life include getting to high ground and improving drainage. Ways to prevent loss of property are retaining walls and planting vegetation. Physiographic features leading up to a mass wasting event include rapid snowmelt, intense rainfall, volcanic eruption, earthquake shaking, storm waves, and rapid stream erosion. Tsunamis, a series of tall waves with a large amount of force that can cause mass destruction. The cause for tsunamis is a sudden displacement or earthquake in the ocean. An example of this would be the Indian Ocean tsunami that happened December 26, 2004, and the Tohoku tsunami that happened March 11, 2011. The general cost of tsunami is around $300 billion. Ways to prevent loss of life include building tsunami evacuation structures, limiting development in tsunami-prone areas, and getting to high ground. Ways to prevent loss of property include designing buildings to be strong and secure and elevating structures. The physiographic features leading up to a tsunami are sudden displacement or earthquakes in the ocean. Now moving on to earthquakes. Earthquakes are when the surface above a fault begins to shake due to a sudden release of motion. The cause for this is when tectonic plates slip, causing rapid motion along a fault. An example of this would be the Sendai, Japan, March 11, 2011 earthquake, and another example would be the Sumatra, Indonesia, December 26, 2004 earthquake. The general cost of earthquakes is usually in between $100 million and $100 billion. Ways to prevent loss of life include drop, cover, and hold on, and ways to prevent loss of property include reinforcing your house, securing furniture, and building with sturdy and strong materials. Physiographic features leading up to earthquakes are tectonic plates and fault lines.
Now we will talk about volcanoes. A volcanic eruption is when lava shoots out from a volcano and sometimes explodes. The eruption is caused by the release of lava and gas from a volcano. Some examples of a volcanic eruption are Mount St. Helens on May 18, 1980, and Kelad, Indonesia on February 13, 2014. The general cost for the damage of a volcanic eruption is $860 million. The best way to prevent loss of life is to evacuate and get to high ground away from the volcano. To prevent loss of property, you need to close all your windows and doors and turn off your electricity. The physiographic features of lava are it is hot, bright orange, and the consistency of syrup. Next, I will be talking about lahars. A lahar is a mixture of hot or cold water that contains fragments of rock and moves rapidly down the slope of a volcano. They occur when ice or snow melts at a rapid pace. Some examples of lahars are the Armero tragedy on November 13, 1985, and the Mount Pinatubo eruption on June 5th. Mixture of hot or cold water that contains fragments of rock and moves rapidly down the slope of a volcano. They occur when ice or snow melts at a rapid pace. Some examples of lahars are the Armero tragedy on November 13, 1985, and the Mount Pinatubo eruption on June 15, 1991. The general cost for the damage from a lahar is $6 billion. Ways to prevent loss of life are to evacuate and go to higher ground, and ways to prevent loss of property are strong retaining walls. The physiographic features of lahars are it's a wet concrete consistency, fast moving, and moves similarly to water. I will now be talking to you about pyroclastic flows. A pyroclastic flow is a hot, fast-moving cloud of ash moving away from a volcanic opening. A common cause of pyroclastic flow is when an eruption loses momentum and falls back to the ground, causing a release of the cloud. Some examples of a pyroclastic flow are Mount Pelée eruption in 1902 and the Mount Tambora eruption from April 5, 1815 to April 23, 1816. The general cost is around $1 billion to repair almost the entire city. To prevent loss of life, you have to go the opposite way of the cloud as quickly as possible and seek shelter indoors. To prevent loss of property, shut all your doors and windows and put wet towels under your doors to prevent ash from getting into your house. Physiographic features of a pyroclastic flow are it is dense, rapid, has volcanic ash, hot gases, and solidified lava pieces.
And then here's just the sources we used. Thank you for watching our video.